By the end of season 1 of Sterling Point, Annie and Ramona are in completely different places than where they started. Over the course of one summer, these once estranged sisters come back together and unravel the mystery of their secretive, tangled family history. But here's the thing. Instead of setting them free, the truth just makes everything more complicated. The big bombshell? Stephen, who Annie always thought was her adoptive dad, turns out to actually be Ramona's biological father. And that revelation doesn't just create tension between the sisters, it throws both of their futures into question. Ramona has to face the reality of having a father for the very first time in her life. Meanwhile, Annie is more lost than ever about where she actually comes from. By the finale, the two of them basically swap places and start brand new chapters. Annie stays behind on the island, and Ramona heads to the city. Will there be a season 2? Now here's the catch. As of right now, there's no official season 2 renewal, so their future is genuinely up in the air. But if the show does get greenlit soon, fans could be looking at Annie and Ramona back on their screens as early as 2028. Connor's birth mother storyline. Let's talk about one of the most interesting threads heading into a potential season 2, Connor. All season, Annie and Ramona are on this journey of self-discovery, digging into their family's past, and every new detail about their mom, Goldie, reshapes how they see themselves. But there's one sibling in this whole equation who's weirdly untouched by all of it, and that's Connor. On paper, Connor has the exact same family ties as his twin sister. He gets along fine with Ramona when they meet, but he has zero real interest in being part of her or her mother's family. In fact, the fact that he isn't biologically connected to any of these people seems to matter a lot to him. So instead, all this family drama pushes Connor in the opposite direction, toward his own blood relatives. He reaches out to a genealogy organization to help track down his birth parents, and by the end of the season, his birth mother actually agrees to meet him. Here's why this matters. Neither Connor nor his twin sister has ever known anything about their biological parents, since Stephen and Goldie adopted them as babies. So as Connor builds this new relationship with his birth mom, it's almost certainly going to ripple into Annie's story too. Given how much weight this storyline carries, expect it to be front and center if season 2 happens. Who's returning? The core cast. As a teen coming-of-age series, Sterling Point lives and dies by its characters. So if it gets renewed, you can bet the core cast is coming back. Ella Rubin and Amelie Hoferle are set to reprise their roles as Annie and Ramona. Their family members are expected back too. Keen Ruffalo as Connor and Jay Duplass as Stephen. The island friend group should also stick around despite all the drama. That's Jacob White Duck Lavoie as Ellis, Bo Bragason as Una, Mabel Strachan as Maple, and Nico Angelo Hanayo as Sully. And then there's Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Joe, the owner of the local marina who's got a rocky history with Ramona and the Jacobson family. He's expected to return as well. Finally, Annie's friends from New York, Rory, played by Daniel Quinn Toy, Oliver, played by Luke Avelato, and Clem, played by Katie Douglas, could show up for small cameos in a future season. Annie and Ramona's love lives. Let's get into the romance side of things, because neither sister ends season 1 in a good spot emotionally. Annie decides to stay behind and live at Gordon's cottage on the island, choosing to reconnect with her late mother's past instead of going back to her old city life. Ramona, on the other hand, burns basically every bridge in the Lake Island town where she grew up and makes the leap to New York. And both of these transitions come wrapped in heartbreak. Over the summer, Ramona had finally gotten together with Una, her best friend and longtime crush. Annie, meanwhile, slowly falls for Ellis and experiences real love for the first time. But by the finale, both relationships fall apart. Una and Ramona let their own insecurities get in the way, pulling away from each other before things can get real. And Ramona's decision to move in with Stephen ends up being the final nail in that relationship, at least for now. Annie and Ellis, meanwhile, make the tough call to end things before distance forces them apart anyway. Despite how different these two breakups are, there's still hope both couples could find their way back to each other. And even if they don't, Annie and Ramona's love lives are clearly going to stay a huge part of the story as they keep navigating their late teens. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.